Alrighty, welcome to another episode of Tyler's Yarns. If you like this type of content, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Music, Spotify, or if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. But yeah, let's get started. Patrick, how are we, mate?
My man. It's a bit weird sitting on the other side of the mic with you, but I'm grateful for it. I'm good. I'm actually good. I'm really good. A lot of things on the horizon. I'm keen to chop it up with you today, mate.
Yeah, sweet. That's what I got you on here for. I wanted to see what's happening for the future because you, people don't know, Pat runs a podcast, interviewing all different types of people, but you're really going to niche it down now. Do you just want to get into it? What's your plans for the future of the podcast? Yeah,
it's exciting. So I guess the last year, and I guess I had you on, it was a bit willy-nilly, what we say. Like, I love conversations, and I just got, I guess, dope people doing good things and just highlighting them and just interviewing them. I found audience-wise, like, people probably, like in the day you need an audience, and people didn't kind of stick around. The content was great, but like, you got to treat it like customers, right? Like your audience, and you got to keep them coming. So niching down into this season, and I guess if I put it simply, a few people that ask me is like, I want it to kind of be the Bible for young men, probably under 30, to come to that they've got no fucking idea about, things they've got no idea about, because we're seeing this shift in society, I think, and a disparity where, guys just have no clue about little things from like design, grooming, skincare, just generally your lifestyle and taking care of yourself, music, like things like that. And like there are guys who've been, I think, uncomfortable about expressing that as well. And I kind of wanted to be the one-stop shop where guys come to for education for those things. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, the only time I've only just started doing skincare is because it's because my girlfriend like made me. She was like, no, because she's got really sensitive skin. So like every time we obviously kiss or whatever, like she's obviously getting rashes on her face for me not looking after myself, Yeah. So it's like a completely different thing that I never knew about. And she was like trying to teach me like, oh, you got to do like exfoliate 2 times a week and all this sort of stuff. And I was just like, I had no idea,
Yeah, and try, being a single guy too. Like, who wants to take pride in their appearance but just doesn't know where to start. Like, and men just genetically are just different, and where do we start in those things? And there's probably a bit of thing in society where it's like you're probably told not to worry about those things or think about those things and go behind closed doors and look at those stuff. But nah, fuck that. Yeah, I kind of want to be the one stop for those things. So that's it going forward.
Do you want to sort of have like a different take on it, I guess, you know what I mean? Like you want to make it sort of known for dudes to actually be able to talk about it as well. Is that what you're thinking, like moving forward?
Totally, and be comfortable with it. It's a big thing, and kind of get the right information about it for men. I think if that makes sense. Like even things like grooming and things like dating, which are probably not talked about even in male circles. It would be a good start, especially dating as well. Like, I think you get to an age probably in your late 20s where it starts to become a bit more comfortable, but still a bit taboo. Like going to a male friend, it's like, oh, I went out with this date, I bought this girl, I bought her flowers on the first date. It's like, is chivalry dead and stuff like that? So yeah, I really want to head in that direction. I'm super excited. Yeah.
What do you think, like males will sort of want to know? Like, because obviously I'm mid-20 now, and I obviously don't know a lot of stuff. So like I don't know grooming, I don't know all that sort of stuff. Like what do you think are your main sort of points you're going to be focusing on?
Yeah, so
like you're going to be getting guests on, like
so we'll be getting guests on who probably specialize in those things. So for example, the grooming thing we mentioned in the works of just talking like barbers, great person to go to. Like, I'm sure guys, for example, have thought about, my hair and head's this way, or this haircut's not doing it. What should I look at? Or how do I look after a beard? How do I look after, what oils do I use?
Mustache.
Yeah, your mustache, man. Like stuff like that. So, barbers, a few artists coming in I'm really super excited about.
Like music artist or like
art, and I'd love to get music artists on. So art, I don't want to give too much away, but pretty well-known artists who appeal to the male demographic, who are males. So that's super exciting as well. So they're the kind of stuff, like even in the delivery content will be a bit different. So a few vlogs, a few tours, I'm hoping. Interior design, big thing, especially again if you're a single guy and And the day, again, like I bring up probably dating relationships a bit. If you want to hold your space for mates to come around, you want to take pride in that as well.
Yeah. I think that's like one thing people don't take pride. Like I've always taken pride in that my whole life. Like I want a space, or like even my room, I always used to like put in a lot of effort, because I was like, I put a lot of effort into like what I'm wearing. So like, why wouldn't I be proud of like when I go home and like it's my place to chill? Like that's what I take care of. But like there's a lot of the stuff on that list that you're sort of saying that I don't really like. I sort of just like brush off, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And it kind of starts when you live in the share houses, right?
Yeah.
That thing. I was at uni, and this is like pretty embarrassing. Like I still probably haven't really taken care of my space till the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And ever since I was 18, 17, I like never realised how empowering it is, even till recently. Like you feel much better yourself. You got a clean space to come home to. It looks fucking aesthetically pleasing. Like it makes you feel good. And, you know, obviously those little changes in a lifestyle for a male can make them feel so much better. And we all know like mental health statistics for males as well. And I think that goes a long way. So, yeah, I'm really keen for the interior design stuff. Like we've talked off air about like the boys are decorating, like it's really sick, making moves. And
do you want to explain who they are?
Comedian from New Zealand, Joey Damon. He started like, think of MTV Cribs. For young males, so it's really highlighted on, if you don't know, if you can't take care of what's around you, how can you take care of yourself? So it's a good message, especially for guys. Like, and I went through the same thing from a personal note, probably like late last year, and I'm like, I'm too embarrassed to bring someone over to my space, even though I live in a share house, but just have someone in my room. It's still uni vibes. And only recently, once you start making those changes, you feel fucking good about yourself. So and I think that goes a long way. And I'm on the journey with everyone as well, like which is really cool. I'm learning as well of these guests that will be coming on, and I'm super excited. So I hope people can see that as well, young males. Yeah,
I feel like that when guests come on to the podcast and they've like, and I ask them all these questions like, oh yeah, like what have you like faced, like the problems you've sort of faced and stuff like that. And I've been like, oh, like I've faced that problem, maybe I could help you, or like I haven't faced that problem. And the problem has come up with me, and I've been like, oh, like it always helps, you know. So it's like you're always on the journey, I think, like when you've got podcasts or you're like owning your own business as well, you know.
Exactly. And that's the educational part of it. Like we talk about like facts and stories and knowledge, but you know, that's the true knowledge, I think, like sharing each other's experience and helping each other, you know, go through that journey, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I hope young males really get that message through. So a lot of different content. I said even like budgeting's coming up too, like, you know, appealing to that, again, young uni, early 20s demographic. You go willy-nilly on a night out, and it's like, how can I manage this but be ambitious as well? Be ambitious, go study and have a business on the side as well. A whole bunch of things. Even photography as well is a big one. So, you know, we like vintage cameras and film cameras coming back in on Instagram, and it's cool. Like it is like cool, and it's okay to get into those things. You should be comfortable, because the big message probably for me is like, you can get into these kind of niche vibey things, and you can be a good bloke as well at the same time. So I wanted to send that message as well. I think there's a disparity in that at the moment. Yeah,
definitely. Like, you want to be like, oh, you can care about yourself and still be cool, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the main like thing of the podcast? Like, as well?
Yeah, literally, in that message. So, like, you know, quote unquote, these are like, I guess, cool things in society. People see that alt boy, or that, you know, that LA cool boy that's going around on social media at the moment, who's got to act exclusive. Who's got to act exclusive. But you don't have to. I think it's just the wrong message. So, and you can, you know, everyone can get a piece of the pie and help each other out. So I'm keen for all the brothers. So that is the big message.
Do you think the culture's different, like in Australia to like, because we just talked about LA and like New York and stuff. Do you reckon the culture's different from like Australia to say the US?
Yeah, well, tall poppy syndrome, man, is a big thing. So that's another factor in it all. I think we're slowly making changes. Like it's the same in New Zealand where you're from. I just think, and ever look at my experiences growing up, I think a big part of that is a reason why I personally didn't want to express myself a lot when I was in my 20s, early 20s and even teens. I was always kind of into fashion and those kind of things, and that I always thought, oh no, I'm a bit too scared to kind of, you know, express that in a way. Yeah. Melbourne's pretty good. I think we talked about that here. Yeah,
Melbourne's very good, yeah.
But generally Australia, I think, was still making waves. So I think tall poppy syndrome has a big thing to do with that. you know, just cutting people down if they're expressing themselves a bit too much or making comments about them, how they look, or if they got this certain cologne or smell, or how their apartment looks, or if they like cool photos. I just think, you know, plays a massive factor, man.
Yeah, like you said that you like said all the stuff you're going to be covering as well, like because this plays into it, but like men's mental health as well. You're going to get people like talking about that because we were talking about budgeting before and like all this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
but like, and you're talking about like them going out on a big weekend, spending a lot of money, budgeting. This is what I'm like going towards, but like. Yeah, people like say dudes have big weekends and then they're like feeling really down, especially if they're single, man. Like we could be getting a lot of like guests on to be like maybe even talk about it.
Yeah. Like I guess for your listeners, my background's social worker, so I work in I work in mental health. So I have since I was 22. And it's something very passionate to me, and it's almost I do see in this project the two combining. So I do have psychologists and hopefully people from the man cave coming on. So the underlying message of like toxic masculinity as well, and how these little changes can empower you a lot and make your self-esteem so much more better. And then we have a better product of males, right?
That's it.
And then in the result, I think, you know, women get the best of us as well because we need each other. At the end of the day, like we need each other. So a lot of males' mental health focus on it as well. So from psychologists and activists and stuff like that. So giving really good, hard, you know, evidence about, you know, why is this disparity? Why are men like, what is it now? Like feeling 60% more lonely than 30 years ago, or like I think it's something like that, and 60% don't want a relationship, so become more resentful to women. Some statistic like that I saw the other day. So it's almost like both sexes are separating each other apart, and men have become more lonely and depressed. So these little things that I think lifestyle-wise really go a long way, I think, adding to that.
Yeah, like even like the marriage rate and stuff. Yeah. Like because you're like already going into it being like, oh, it's like 1 in 5 people or like whatever the percentage is. I know it's super low, but it's just sort of like you're going into a relationship being like, oh, is this going to work, isn't it? Yeah. Like you already got this bad preconception in your mind being like, oh, like, you know. Yeah. And I think we just need to sort of brush that off, you know. Exactly. And if we're better people and we're like learning all this new stuff like about ourselves, like taking care of ourselves, taking care of everyone else, like
those things will fall into place, right? Yeah, that's a great point. Like divorce and marriage rates, like just, you know, again, like male loneliness, you touched on it, and they often say, you know, when you have a breakup or something, like the best thing you should do is focus on yourself. And I think that actually is true, right? Like
for sure.
This is kind of like delaying that, and like doing, if you are a single bloke and you are wanting to get the best version of yourself, this is the best product of yourself that you can put out if you take pride in this. And I firmly believe that. Yeah,
because it's even like you can't change people unless people want to change.
Exactly.
And that's like a massive thing. I think I heard that on Joe Rogan or whatever. But like even with me, I'm just gonna, like, when I had a breakup maybe like a year and a half ago, and then after it I was like focused on being like, I'm gonna be a better person. Like you like write a list and you're like, this is the person I want to be. Yep. Like this is the stuff I sort of want to do as well. Like I want to get fit. I want to do all this. And then like you write a list of all that stuff. Yeah. But that breakup made me want to do that, where there's people that should just normally want to do it anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
But like, you know, one of the things you mentioned on that list, like get fit. Like, you know, take pride in how I feel and my appearance and my physiology, right?
And how you eat. Like I don't realize how much energy levels change because of the stuff you eat. Or like how much better you feel because you look good, or like you properly groom yourself, and like how much better your space is. I think Jackson Peterson said something like, if you got a like messy house or messy room, it's like a cluttered like in your brain as well. You know
Jordan
what I mean?
Peterson. Jordan Peterson. Sorry, makes your bed. Like make your bed is one of his big things.
Yeah, make your bed, and clean your room. Yeah, like, you know.
It's and that's the message. I was actually thinking that on the way. Yeah, like, and he targets the young males as well. Yeah. Like it's so important, like, and especially like with the breakup things, and focus on yourself. You know, I want all males who listen to the podcast or watch the content going forward to kind of see that message. But yeah, it's inciting. I can't stop saying it. Yeah.
Do you take a lot of advice from Jordan Peterson?
Jordan Peterson. I did. I got into him again, like when I was.
I haven't been into it. I've only saw like sort of small clips on TikTok or being like, oh yeah,
people love it. Yeah. Well, like,
and I haven't read his book, like 12 Rules of Life yet. Yeah.
I'd rather like young male take advice of him compared to like Andrew Tate or someone like that, who you know where there is a lot of studies going why young males are becoming more focused on him and resentful. But like, yeah, Jordan Peterson, obviously I listen to Joe Rogan a bit, got a few lessons off there. And, you know, as you mentioned that, when I've reflected on the journey and, you know, coming to now in this phase with the podcast, a lot of these things, you know, I was kind of naturally intrigued on. Like, so, and they carry through here. So, yeah, he has a lot of good messages as well, and he does it and target young males. So, yeah.
So it's definitely like an inspiration going into what you're going to be doing.
Definitely.
And it'll be like, yeah, because even what you're doing sort of before compared to now is like, at least it's all just like, well, mostly it'll be all just males listening as well, like in their 20s, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be listening every weekend. So.
Thanks, man. Well, I hope females do hang around. So they're like...
Well, they can even like... So they actually learn as well. Like it's both, you know.
And then that... And also correct me. Yeah. Like, you know, correct the audience. Like, no, like, you know, I had Jess Matthews on, who's a dating coach, had him last season. And, you know, there are a lot of things there from a female's perspective that I was sitting there. I was like thinking, fuck, I didn't realise that. To never realise those things. And we get fed these messages that we think are right in dating. You know? Like, so that's, I'd want, you know, girls like that to comment and jump on and say, you know, with the, you can have all the nicest flashy things, but we don't actually care about it, right? Like, or, you know, you got to do the little things, or, you know, your space is important. And so, yeah, we need each other. That's a big message.
Well, it's like even like, learning people's like love languages, like you like this, I like that. And
which it's traditionally like, guys never would have talked about, hey?
No. And I'm only just learning these like now, you know, and it's just like mental.
Yeah. And and that's the kind of transitional phase where I like to think the podcast now can strike when the iron's hot in a way, like where there are a lot of guys like you and myself who, again, are intrigued and learning about that stuff, but want to kind of know more or know the basics.
Yeah, like we know the basics, but like not really too.
And relationships are hard. Like love is, they're fucking tough.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I mean. Like everyone wants relationship advice, you know, and like people don't know what's going on, or people don't like understand. Like even with me, like I still don't understand like women, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I still want to learn like everything I can do right to like be a good dude, you know?
Exactly right. And that's, again, like the message I want to push across, for there. So,
but yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, can't wait.
So you're moving into sort of a new business venture. Do you want to go into that, or?
Yeah, a little bit. Like too much away.
Because it's all sort of
flowing.
Interlinked. Yeah.
It does interlink. I guess how I explain it, it will be clothes, and but very community driven, and I guess playing on a lot of nostalgia. So it's based like I don't want to give too much away. But it's
just like give a little brief.
So it's based on nostalgia. It's based like kind of on your home away from home. Like I think we all had that place and that safe haven growing up. If you look back, whether it was like the footy club or someone else, your mate's house, where you just acted like little groms. So. But it's really big on community in that aspect, and collaboration. So collaboration heavy. So I've always thought community is super important. Like whether it is, you know, at your mate's house hanging out, that is a community. You know, that is a little hangout to your friends, your group of friends. It's your sporting club or anything. So it's what keeps us together. So that'll be the key pillars of it. We just want a cool, like I guess how we put it is like a cool storytelling product in clothes and tees, and produce, again, content will be very much the pillar of it as well. So that'll be the message. So just the safe space that I want people to look back on nostalgic wise and have a laugh and go back. It's like, fuck, I remember like hanging out at my mate's place on a Sunday hungover after 18th, you know, stuff like that.
Or like watching the UFC or something
on
a Sunday with the boys.
On a Sunday with the boys. Like we've all got that. So we're really playing on that card and in clothes. So I'm super excited about that. And collab and community driven, like, there'll be a time where business comes into it and like you want to, you know, make some money, but we want to push that community aspect on it. And, you know, that's the main forefront of it for sure for me, and throwing events as well down the track, you know, bringing people together from all different backgrounds. Like I think this area, and you know it really well, is a real good hub for that. Yeah. Because the amount of people I've talked on the podcast, like yourself and creatives and who are this way, we're just doing the coolest shit and have a like-minded people. I just would love to be the person to bring them together. So like a lot of community events as well. Yeah,
because everyone's especially everyone's now like pushing the limits, because like TikTok's so new, Instagram's so new, like content's so new. So it's just like we're all trying to push to do new stuff as well. And I really like what you're going to be doing is like running events so everyone can actually come together, because everyone knows each other, but there's actually no events where we're like, oh, I actually know this bloke, but he runs that business or he does that creative thing. And I've always wanted to meet him, but like I've talked to him in like second person so much, you know what I mean?
It's like you've always kind of I don't like your finger on the, you got your finger on the pulse, right? You know of people and you see their faces on social media and stuff. Might have slid in a couple of DMs, but you know, you never had the opportunity to meet them, chop it up, have a few beers and just hang out. So yeah, that's a big focus for us. And I think, you know, this area, it's a great hub for it, man. It's amazing. Just would love to be the person to bring them together. And like, everyone can get a piece of the pie on the way. Like we can all you know, grow together and learn together and experience amazing things together in business. So I'm super excited about that.
That's what definitely this podcast is about. Like everyone learning together, you know.
Exactly.
And it's like hopefully people get like a little bit of information here and there about everything.
Yeah.
Especially for your podcast as well. You're going to be like talking to these young dudes that need help. Yeah. And you got this thing where you're going to be running events.
Yeah.
And like connecting people. Like you provide a lot of value.
Yeah, thanks.
Did you want to go that way, or like is it just who you are as a person, you reckon?
When you ask that question, it's just me as a person, man.
Yeah.
Like I was like, again, social worker background. My background, like personally, I'm Filipino, half Filipino, and always have been about bringing people together. I don't know if you know any people in the Philippines. It's always been food and literally bringing people together from all different backgrounds. My mum's a big inspiration for a lot of these things, so she's like the best. And her podcast I did with her is one of the fucking funniest things ever. And like she was always just one of those people that I explain it was like anyone could walk in the door and she could be having the worst day, but she'd still cook for him and have a smile. Like I'd see her behind the door and she'd be like knackered and having a shit day and would hide all that for someone, a random person, and cook them food. And so yeah, I guess I've always been a very loving and giving person. It comes from my mum. So yeah, I just want good people around me, and I think that's the message. And you know, in happiness and fulfillment, man. Like without getting too, like deep's good, but like
deep's good, man.
Stuff it, man. Like, See, that's the thing. Like you know, I used to be the old me, difficulty in expressing who I was, but yeah, I love people, man. Like I absolutely love meeting people like you and creatives, randoms on the street. I don't go out much anymore with randoms out and linking up. Like, there's no better fuel for life than human connection, I think. So. Yeah, I've always been that way. Always been very loving. In some ways, maybe too much. Give myself up too easy, but like
put your heart on the line. I think
definitely, man.
You know? Even for your friendships, go as hard as possible. Like, I don't know.
I always, my group of mates, we say "love me, mates." That's our group. So I always tell my mates, and again, a message from the new phase of the podcast, like love your brothers, man. Like love your mates.
I don't think it's said enough, man. Like honestly, like even when you do say it to your friends, everyone's a bit like, whoa. Yeah. Like, and then they're you know, it's just not said enough. Exactly. I say it to my mates all the time. I'm like, I fucking love you, man. Like, sober, I hadn't had a drink or anything. I'm like, thanks for being there. And they're like, what?
Yeah,
like,
literally. And
they're shocked, And it's just all like, oh yeah, man. I appreciate you, you know?
Then it's a weird thing again, male's perspective that we got to get more comfortable with because it's okay. Like, I don't know many. Well, mate, I'm very blessed in my circle of mates from back home, but like I don't know many people who would openly say they tell their family absolutely everything, right? Yeah. Like, but your mates, you do probably, right? Like, for sure. So, and that breeds that form of trust and human connection, which is so important, which I love.
Especially your best mates, you can't you tell them everything, and you like rely on them to not say anything to anyone, which they wouldn't. But then it's just like you're putting trust in them, and like putting trust in another human is a massive thing, you know?
Yeah, and making yourself vulnerable is a beautiful thing as well. Like, and especially in your mates, and they see that and they're like, "Fuck, I'm going to be more vulnerable, open to my brother Tyler, and I'm going to feel so much more better at it." It's probably something I probably struggled with. I hate the word hustle, but like going on these creative ventures and meeting people flat out. It's something I'm trying to make an effort at with, like not opening up, but just checking with my mates. Like just get busy, and I'm normally great with like that.
Yeah, I'm
normally the male guy who just calls, just hotline blings, like he does the ring around with his mates. But I'm just trying to make sure when life gets too bit unquote busy, that you check in on your mates, and it's an important message for all male listeners listening to this to know.
Yeah, that is important, especially ask your mates if they're alright, because you never know.
You never know. Yeah, and it's important not to.
And you never know what's going to happen in life as well. Like time's finite. Like
Oh, exactly.
So something could happen tomorrow and you didn't say you loved your teammate, and then it's like...
Yeah, exactly right. And that's probably why the reason I, do love too much. I'm a pretty loving person and people feel comfortable around me, which I like to think. And yeah, it's like you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So you may as well just chop it up now.
Yes, that's what we're doing, man. You also did was it Sweat with Pat? Big Sweat.
Yeah, last year.
I was following the journey along that. You're doing some mental runs, exercises, doing a run through everyone or everything that you sort of just did for that, and like who it was for, and like.
Yeah, so I raised funds for the Cancer Council, and the actual event was start off with a 10.5k run, a half marathon row on the erg machine, a half marathon ski erg, a half marathon bike erg, and then finish off with 10.5k run. So yeah, half marathons in each modality. And yeah, I trained, it's only about 8 weeks. So I was going through a rough time. Like, not that this was the main call, but I was going through a rough time as I started training for that. It was a trigger for it. But I always thought in my head, I've always wanted to do something like that. I love fitness. I'm obsessed with it. I used to be quite a big boy, and ever since then I've been so obsessed with fitness. I'm like, oh, well, I saw some guy do it, Jake Henry. He used to program the old gym I went to, and like I'm like, fuck, that's insane. Like, I'd love to do that. So I gave it like a condensed version a crack and trained. And Ryan, he's a triathlon coach. I've had him on the podcast before. He programmed the whole thing in 8 weeks. And another challenge as well is that I broke my hand in footy and broke my finger. So I was only doing cardio for a while. I'm like, fuck, I may as well do something, right, to keep me sane and do something that's, higher than me, gives me a bit of value. So, yeah, someone close to me got diagnosed with cancer, and I thought, oh, stuff it. I'll just train my ass off and give this a crack. So it was tough. It was very tough for those 8-9 weeks training, but we got through it on the day. So
yeah, especially because you're doing like big runs on like cold days, and then there's like runs you're like doing hungover runs and stuff. There's one of them.
I actually cut down on drinking last year, but it was probably the toughest times was after work for me. Like,
how
double sessions. Like, I remember when I first started, I had like a little retreat back home, and moved back home. A lot of things were going on in my life, and I'm from this coastal town. It was the most beautiful, euphoric run I've ever been on. It was a 21.1k hilly loop. And then I'm just like, this is the best feeling I've ever had. Like, so like primal about it. And then I thought, it was a pretty crazy session. So yeah, I thought, oh no, like I may as well just bank them up, because I was literally fearful of not finishing it, which is an amazing thing, because fear is what drives us, right? Yeah. Like, so I remember real early on, I was just banking double sessions. Like, there wasn't too many like hungovers, probably a couple, where you're just hungover, and the Sunday blues are after work, and you're like, I just got to get this done. Like,
everyone has those, like when you start doing those morning sessions and the night sessions, you're just like death. But sometimes it gives you energy, man, after those sessions.
Morning sessions especially. Yeah. Like, or helps you sleep better, right? Yeah. Like, I love mornings, but not for exercise as much as like just having a slow start to the day. But when you exercise in the morning, you just feel so much more productive. And like productivity is what fuels me, I think. So, which is part of the reason why I don't drink too much at the moment. I go out.
Well, it is. It's the same with me. It's like we're in a time in the business where it's like we need everyone there, and everyone needs to be focused for content. And it's like drinking's just like a bad
thing, right? And like consuming alcohol and just say training for something, or like training for something that you really want to do and achieve for your own self fulfillment, or like chasing a business venture, like yourself running a store, doing a podcast. Like, if you take that choice, right? And I always felt like productivity was the most is like the thing that gives you the most enjoyment. And alcohol, drugs, and partying takes that away. And
it's like it's like a numbness, eh?
Yeah, and then you're less fulfilled in that way. And I think people need to start to get that message across. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. Do you reckon you'll touch on that in your podcast?
As in drinking?
As in drinking and
For sure. Like, because you know it too. Like, males don't really talk about things, and what's the first coping strategy you probably do is like going out with the boys and
that's a few pints.
A few pints turns into a Larry from Friday to Sunday. Like, I've been there, like especially at uni in my younger 20s. Yeah, like not afraid to say it. But and then those times, like I just didn't have the coping strategies or the things that could get me through those tough times. So,
or you could have been like no, like, or even just like when someone like peer pressured you, you'd say no. Like I had no Like when people would peer pressure me, I'd just be like, yeah, all right, just another beer.
Literally. Or I think that's a big thing. And like, you know, I think the big thing was just to like, it's like, fuck it, right? Like when you're going through these things, you'd rather not be alone and feel alone and deal with that loneliness that you think's in your head, and then cover it with, you know, 100 beers and going out till Rebs till 6 a.m. on a Sunday or something like that.
And even like in a relationship as well, and you say you break up with your partner or whatever, and then like using drinking as a vice, like males don't understand that it like affects you. Like you drink one weekend and it covers up all this bad stuff for a little bit of time, but then it all catches up to you. Like once you stop drinking for like after a month, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like binge drinking anyways. Like,
literally, yeah. And binge drinking is a big thing right, for males.
Especially in Australia. We've got the biggest.
Australia, right? Like I've never had lately I've haven't too much personally of a problem. But again, if I reflect on the things in my early 20s and mid 20s, like it's a big problem. Like, and it just, but I think alcohol and those things, those vices, gambling, like, which these are all the big things male face. They're just like, they're just like something to get out of what's actually going on. Like, you know, not attacking the problem.
Sort of like a front,
Yeah, exactly. They're just a front. Like they're just an absolute front to what's actually going on, and you're just avoiding what the real problem is. So yeah, there's a lot of that's going to be touched, and it's tough as a mate. Like, and like you mentioned, relationships, like it's the first thing we do, like that way.
Yeah,
like,
especially
that's something we need to talk about as males, like breakups and stuff, and how much they affect you. Because
that was just on that as well. Like because this is what happened to me. I just wanted to get the story out because even when I had, I was in a 5-year relationship. I broke up with this girl, and then he was using drinking as a vice for like 2 months, like every single weekend, binge drinking, and it was just sort of not good for me, not good for the business, not good for like everything in my life. And it was just like you just start going on a spiral, like when you know what I mean. And it's just sort of you're self-sabotaging yourself. 100%. And then once you pull yourself out of that and you realize, I need to work on myself, and then you start working on yourself and doing all this stuff like to better yourself, which you're going to be touching on in your podcast.
Yeah,
but
literally.
Like you become a better person, and then you realize, I actually don't need drinking that much anymore.
Literally, you know? You don't need that. It's escapism. That's what I was looking for. Like you're escaping from that problem, and you know, once you take a bit of pride of yourself, and also it's like once you take pride of yourself, you start being more confident in yourself that you can be alone. Like I know, like you can, you know, you can sustain yourself and happy by yourself, which is something again a journey I've gone through the last 6 to 9 months. Like I won't give too much away of what kind of triggered this movement in the podcast, but like the last 6 to 9 months I don't think like I've grown as much as a person, or could look myself in the mirror today and think like I'm a fucking good man, like I'm doing okay. Yeah, and I want other guys to have that.
Yeah, that's like one thing that every guy wants to do as well.
Yeah, literally. And
especially if you're drinking every weekend, the anxiety on Sundays, you know, it's just like you just can't better yourself.
You can't at all. Like like there's again productivity. Like you cannot at all. Like, and maybe it's something in your mid or early 20s because you're just stuck in this whirlwind about where the fuck am I going to go or do?
Or who am I?
Yeah, like, who am I? But like a big thing, like for you, when you talked about it, like you mentioned, like you had this higher purpose or something that you had to give. And I think that plays a part in it as well. Like, man, guys just don't know what they want to do, but you don't have to. Like, you can just start taking pride in yourself, and then those things fall into place.
Yeah, and then it's like, then you start realizing it's just like, another thing popped up, another opportunity.
Another opportunity.
It's just like opportunities just start like, you're a magnet to opportunities. Literally. Like when you start bettering yourself as well.
Yeah, and I can't
explain it. Like, I don't know. Because every time you start doing better for yourself, you're like,
another thing pops up. Like, it's true what they say, like, good things happen to good people. Like these doors are open. Like I used to think I had to take these drastic changes in my life when, you know, a crisis would happen as a young male, and I've got to go do this, or I've got to, you know, like, but that's resentment, right? Yeah. Like, but you can use that and just better yourself as motivation. And so many guys go through it, we just don't talk about it. Yeah, we just don't talk about it. And there's so many episodes in my life, so that's the beauty in it for me. It's so fulfilling, is that like I've gone through it and I'm going through it, and like you can make some good positive changes.
Yeah, and you'll be able to tell a lot of personal stories.
For sure. Yeah.
That was good, man. I love the chat. We'll wrap it up there, but do you want to tell us when you're sort of switching over? Have you started doing episodes for the year?
So my first episode recorded last week with Jess Matthews, the dating coach. A lot of gems in that one, man. Like for guys,
What roughly did you go over? Like
so we went through again, I guess, what are the things women look for in dating, first attractions, everything. Is chivalry dead? Not sending you up messages. Do not do it, guys. You've got to put a stop to it. You know, green flags for dating in this one. Like, you know, I'm pretty intuitive as well. I like to think I've got a probably feminine side of it, but I really find dating intriguing now, especially modern times. So she came on last year and it was great content. And this one targeted toward young men who can impress women. Hopefully get a few tips out of it. But that's coming out probably next week. Hopefully this week or next week. So yeah, a lot of gems and educational tools in that one. Yeah.
So it would definitely be getting started. I think this episode's going to be releasing on Thursday, so hopefully it's out before then, so people go listen to you. Yeah. We will link it below or whatever.
Yeah, put that down first. Yeah, find me on Instagram, @a chat with Pat or @Pat Pekin. And we're doubling down on TikTok, doubling down.
Yeah. Because you said you're obviously going to do more other content as well, not just podcasting. You're going to go onto
YouTube. We love the full length podcast on YouTube, 1 point, TikTok, you know, all services. And and I can't be more thankful enough for Annotate Agency, who the creative space I work with. Kane and Amy down there do amazing work. So yeah,
it's grateful.
Yeah, grateful. Many gratefuls, man. What are you grateful for?
Oh, that was actually
good segue.
This is my last. So this is how I'm going to start finishing all the podcasts. So it started for the year. This is the 3rd episode, but every single guest this year, I'm going to be like, was one grateful thing that happened to you this week? Yeah, or one thing that you're happy with.
Does it have to be this week
or this week or last week? Just because it's only Tuesday.
Yeah, wow. That's a good question. Wow, I'm grateful for the little things, man. It sounds pretty. I'm grateful for the little things that even on the bad day can make you laugh. When you're having a shitty little day, and just make you giggle and make everything worse. Like, for context, I do a bit of support work, and this wasn't the weekend, just been disability support work, but the one before. And it's a tough gig being a caregiver, and doing those things as a second job. Like, you won't beat around the bush, but you know, one participant just cut his hair, just grabbed the scissors and cut his hair, and it just made everyone making hysterics. But little things like that makes me very happy. You look at those things and you think, you know, I'm healthy, I'm happy.
Yeah,
you know,
you're in a good spot in
things
life.
in my life. Yeah, I know I went on tangent, but I'm grateful for growth. Yeah, great growth, really. So, yeah, it's exciting, and
yeah. Thank you, man.
Thanks, man.
Grateful. What am I grateful for this week, actually? Just getting work done, getting everything done, getting on top of it finally. Yeah. After 5 years. Productivity. We talked about productivity before. Man,
it's a flow. When you're in that flow state, that nothing kind of beats it.
That's what I mean. I think I'm in that at the moment, not really drinking too much and just got my head down, working hard. Yeah. A lot of big things coming in March for both of us, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
This whole year. Yeah. Keen.
All
right.
Thanks,
See you, man.
Blessing. Thank you.